recording. You may start when ready.
Sure. Shantae,
Jim.
do you have time to work out?
No.
Neither do I. How do you look so freaking amazing?
I'm so glad you asked. I go to the Fit Lab at Functionised.
Tell me about it.
It's my one-stop shop for all of my fitness needs, where I am in and out in less than 15 minutes once per week.
So are you telling me that you've stepped on stage last summer, looked like that, and utilized the Fit Lab instead of hours and hours and hours and hours? Did I say hours in the gym?
Hours. I did.
So it works.
I spent minutes a week.
High technology, cutting-edge science put into practical application. Conventional wisdom says you need to spend many hours each week exercising to see results. Science says otherwise. Developed with decades of experience, we provide the formula to ensure you achieve your health and fitness goals in just minutes each week. Time is valuable. We recognize this. Efficiency is key. And now, upgrading at Functionized with IV elements. If you ain't testing, you're guessing, right? And
That's
always
right.
test for success. Your unique blend of vitamins, minerals, nutrients, glutathione, NAD+. Optimize your body from the cellular level, delivered straight into your bloodstream through IV therapy. Check out Functionized, www.functionized.com. That is FUNCTIONISED.com. Hit up social media, Facebook, Instagram, at Functionized. Since you are listening to this podcast and probably looking to listen and play on your phone at the same time, take a screenshot, post it to your story, tag at Functionized, and while you're at it, tag Red Bank Red. We will follow you. You will get more followers. Isn't that the goal of...
That's it.
It's pretty much just get as many followers as possible.
Give it a game.
At Red Bank Red, at Functionized. We appreciate it. While you're at it, leave a 5-star review. The more listeners that we get to, the more reviews we get to, the more they can actually hear the amazing information that you get week after week. Check out all the show notes on functionized.com/podcast.html, or just swipe up in the story. You'll see where it's at. Today's guest is Red Bank Red herself, Liz
Hi.
Murphy. Hey, Liz. Liz is a former fashion designer turned personal trainer and wellness coach. She's aptly named Red Bank Red as, well, you'll see in all the pictures, her hair is red. Looks
Beautiful.
awesome. I love it.
Thank you.
No, seriously. It's nice. Tell us, Liz, about the fashion industry, if you would. And kind of just, if you would, give us your entire story from...
So your evolution.
Yeah, the
Of Red
evolution of
Bank
Liz.
Sure. Yeah. So thank you, first of all, for having me on the show. I'm honored to be a guest, to use your platform to learn more about what you guys do, too, and connect with your guests, or your audience. So my background, I grew up in small town Pennsylvania. Thought I wanted to be a fashion designer. I went into fashion design. I went to the Rhode Island School of Design.
So pause real quick,
Yep.
if you could.
Sure.
Before the show, Liz and I realized that we actually went to high schools in very similar
Same
places.
County in middle Pennsylvania.
Exactly. Central York, York Catholic, and Dr. Mike, also born, raised, bred, looking like Dr. York himself. So
Yeah.
it was kind of cool, small world connection. I'm sorry to
Yeah, I feel
interrupt.
like you did some deep dive to find that one.
you were
I don't know. Maybe it's on my Facebook.
It was like at the end of a LinkedIn thing.
So I grew up in middle Pennsylvania. Thought fashion was the step I wanted to go into, and went to school to pursue fashion design. I will say I went in, I think, not as a very secure person.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're kind of grow up in a sheltered upbringing, small town, I think if you're not very secure of yourself, it easily lends to, what should I say, insecurities, of course. So, of course, went to school for fashion, got out of the school, went into industry for about 8 years.
So I always think like Devil Wears Prada. How much is it like? Yeah.
It's not the I'd say it's not the most healthy industry. And if you're not a secure person, if it's not something that suits you well, you're probably not going to thrive in it. So a lot of people that do well in it, it's awesome, it's great for them, perfect fit, but you really have to be married to it as a career choice. Like
can be
most people.
tough.
Yeah, it's a very competitive industry. It's very focused, of course, on outer appearance and not very health focused at all. In fact, like, you know, the show Project Runway, right? That actually kind of came out as soon as I was leaving college. And I'd hear, you should go on that show. Why not audition for that show? And I was like, no, I lived 4 years of that in real life. I do not want to do that in front of a camera or going forward. So it's like almost like, as it is for most people at school, it's a badge of honor. How little can you sleep? How hard can you work?
Right.
You know, how many all-nighters do you pull? As I'm sure it is for like med school or you know, everything else.
Of course, and then some.
But especially in the fashion industry too, it's like, well, if you miss a meal, oh well, that's even better, you know. So I will say, it perpetuated a lot of my own insecurities, and I did develop some eating disorders.
When it comes to the fashion industry, what about it actually got you into it in the first place? What was the allure?
Yeah, I grew up a crafter, so Pennsylvania. My mother was a sewer. She taught me how to sew, and I got into making little outfits. And coming from a middle-class background, you know, not always having what I would get in the mail, like catalogs. This is back in the Delia's days. And the Delia's catalogs, I want this, I want that. No, can't really afford it. So I'd be like, okay, well, I'll make it. Sure. So I thought that's what I wanted to do. Is I knew how to sew, I knew how to craft. And of course, going into school, a lot of people don't know how to sew yet, and they're more excelling on their visual, their artistic skills, which I had too, but I wouldn't say drawing was my top skill.
Right. The transition, what kind of started to get you from transitioning from fashion to fitness, to F's?
Yeah, so there's a lot in that whole fashion college and fashion years. Like I said, I developed some eating disorders, and got very, very thin when I was in college. At 5'7", I was about 105 pounds when I left school. Now,
some girls are going to say, wow, I wish I could be like that. I wish I could be so tiny and little like that. But were you like that too, saying this is perfect for me, or did you know something was up?
Thinner the better. I mean, I went into school on normal weight and put on that normal freshman 15.
How can't you? There's just ice cream and pies and cake, and I mean, it's all there, so you might as well, right? Right. So I put that on. You know, I remember going into the school nurse's office at one point, like during the second semester, and being like, my pants don't fit. What's going on? And she brought out the food pyramid, like literally. She was like, okay, you put on like 10 pounds.
It's better than the nurses in my school. If you go in with anything, take a pregnancy test. That was the first thing.
Oh, wow.
Yes, that was the first thing that they did. I have a sinus infection. Take a pregnancy test.
So, yeah, she brought out the...
Nothing. I don't know what to say about that, right?
I didn't have to do that.
Good for you.
The food pyramid, and that's what she said, this is kind of how you should be eating. And then I took that kind of to heart, and I was now restricting everything and trying to fit it into this pyramid. And then by that summer, I'd lost a ton of weight, and everyone's like, oh, Liz, you look great. Wow. So I thought, of course, you know, I'm getting attention now. That must be good. Losing weight must be, it's giving me attention. I'm losing weight. More weight must be better.
Right.
So I just kind of went down that path. But it was fueled by the stress of school, the deadlines, not really necessarily being happy at this school. I mean, it was very far away from home. I didn't know anybody going to the school. I'm socially awkward to begin with.
Where did you go to school?
Rhode Island School of Design. So it's in Providence.
Okay.
Yeah, good flight away.
Yeah.
So, and also coming in with the imposter syndrome. You know, I'm like a big fish in a small town, and then you go to a art school where it's all these other people from all over the country and the world that have all these amazing backgrounds, and I'm exposed to so many different things that I hadn't at that point. And I'm looking around like, I don't know how I got in this school. Someone's going to find out I
Oh my
shouldn't be
goodness,
here.
we have all gone through this.
Absolutely.
When I got to chiropractic school, I looked up to every professor, every doctor there. You are amazing. Oh my goodness. I read their bios, saw what they did, and thought, oh crap, what did I get myself into? It didn't matter. My past, my background, being with professional athletes didn't matter. These are doctors now. They work on the pro athletes. I remember when Chantea went to school for the very first time. She was out to California getting her PhD. And she's calling me every day, like, I'll let you describe it.
It was insane. I'd finished my master's and, going into a doctorate program, and you go out to California for my residential hours. I still go. I have to do 5 conferences and just feel so out of your element because people are just talking above your head. You don't know what you're saying, and they have more experience than you've been alive, so it's very humbling to go through that. So it's easy to feel lost and confused. I was like, what am I doing here? Same thing. Like, I don't know anybody. I'm all the way across the country. My family's at home. My kids are missing me. Why am I doing this? And now I'm more than halfway done, and I'm still going, but still ask, why am I doing this? But there's a greater good for it. So it's easy to feel lost. I think people can absolutely
moments of doubt and
relate to that.
Feeling, like unconfident about why you're there. Kind of, you have to find that deeper why again.
By the time you were done school, did you grow in that pond, though? Or did you at least feel that you were growing and kind of outgrew it?
I excelled in my division of fashion design. You have all these different career paths, but I excelled within my class. But I really just kind of put my head into my work, and that's all I did, but isolated myself a lot. Yeah, exactly. But isolated myself, and that just kind of just got worse and worse as the years passed. And, you're really just focusing on work and being obsessed with food and weight. And I remember, even I'd have phone calls with my parents, and they'd always end with, don't forget to eat. Like, make sure you keep eating. Yeah, I'm eating, sure.
So what was your nutrition like at that point? And what were you doing?
Oh my God.
And how did you lose weight so much?
It's so backwards. I think all I ate was, sugar. I didn't think protein was any good, or I shouldn't eat fat. It was just, low fat, sugar, cereal, eat as little as possible.
So
carrot
calorie
sticks.
restrictions.
Yeah, calorie restriction, basically. But I had no real idea about actual nutrition. I'd read a health magazine and would tear it apart. I thought that was a
I'm
good
an expert
resource.
now.
Yeah.
I remember the first internship. I don't know if I mentioned this on podcasts before. I was working with who I still think is probably the smartest guy on the face of the earth, Raf Ruiz, and he is a strength and conditioning coach to many very high-end elite athletes. And part of our internship was first thing in the morning, we worked out. After that, the intern goes to Smoothie King, gets smoothies, and brings them back, and we all present a journal article and then tear into each other and have to defend that article. So I thought, article. So I got muscular development, bring it in, went over an article in muscular development. Oh my goodness, I got to a new one. It was a magazine. It's not a research journal. They all brought Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research, JAMA, actual research with actual evidence in it. And so many individuals like yourself, like myself, thought, this is good information. I now know everything. And it seems like the public thinks the same thing, not realizing that the magazine actually extrapolates little bits and pieces to make something interesting to read.
Well, and that's what they see. They're not, having access to the research journals and the articles and the things you have to pay for. They see what's
PubMed.gov. www.pubmed.gov. It's free.
It is, and you can get the real information there. But as I said, you find it in the magazines. You see what's there, and that's what is.
And then the industry will play on all that, marketing different things to you. So, it's not real information. It's what they call fake news.
Right.
Yeah.
So you based everything on that.
And just, like you said, calorie restriction, and just that's when I started getting into cardio, kickboxing. And Providence has these giant hills, so I would just walk as many hills as I could.
So you were in fitness already at that point without
That-
even realizing it.
yeah,
It just
honestly-
didn't complete it. You were the physical part, just not the chemistry part, which is the nutrition part.
Well, that was really my first. I was an art kid. I didn't do fitness or sports. I tried a little, but it was not my thing in school. So cardio kickboxing was kind of my first foray into fitness. Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
using it just for weight control, burning off calories.
Mm-hmm.
Would not touch didn't touch a weight rack or a machine for another decade.
Any reason?
Because I thought that would bulk up or put on muscle, or you don't stay slim and
Didn't want to get too big.
Yeah, you don't stay sample hanger size. Picking up weights is what I thought.
Okay.
it's the stigma. It's the, yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
how did this
But
start?
it's like almost the thinner I got, the more obsessed I got with it, the least happy I was, for sure.
So how did this start to change? Was there like a aha moment, or was it just a gradual progression?
There was like an aha moment in my 20s where I realized, after school, people I'd made friends with were going out on Saturday nights, and I'd say, no, I'm good. I'm staying in. I'm going to do my work on Monday. I got to do this project, that project. Like, I always stayed busy.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I met my boyfriend, who's now my husband, I'd be like, all right, I got to go do this project. It's just like make things up. I have to stay busy. So I just kind of realized at one point, I'm like, how come I don't do these things? I can't have fun like them. Like, why am I always stuck in this little box?
Did your future
And then I
husband
realized,
call you
like,
out?
well, this is just a conversation with me in my head.
Okay.
And then I realized, well, I'm afraid of everything. I'm afraid to go out because then I have to eat things and drink things, and I feel like I'm awkward. And then oh my God, this is my own prison.
Yeah.
So finally having that realization, and then just small steps. And I will say my then boyfriend, now husband, has had a huge role in that too, and encouraging me to try things and branch out and get more comfortable discovering who I was, because I had no idea.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody has an idea when they're, 18, 19, 20, 22. You still don't know. I really don't think people truly develop into who they are until they're in their 30s. I could say that my 20s were pretty much, I don't want to say wasted, but it was a big growth, in development time. And I didn't step on stage till I was 35 years old, So anything is possible at any time, but you got to be willing and ready. It seems like
I
you
hate
were.
to say like I wasted my 20s, but sometimes I feel that way too. Like, I wasted so much time not believing in myself, and that's what I talk to women about now too, like how I wasted so much time not believing in myself. And if I could go back and, there's no reason not to believe in yourself, but it's, you can't just give that to somebody. Nope. You can't just be like, okay, now you have belief in yourself. But at least somebody can kind of borrow that. And I think that's what people do from fitness professionals, is kind of, they borrow that belief by the examples they see that we model for them. Like, we kind of give them for a time some feeling that they can do things.
It's
and
hope,
then they,
you know?
yeah, exactly.
There is something about being the forefront of the inspiration. You have to actually, at least I feel, you have to practice what you preach. You have to walk the talk. Somebody asked me the other day, all right, Jim, so what is your cheat meal? And I know I guess the oddity. I'm the weirdo. My cheat meal was a double serving of half a Korean sweet potato. I put in some almond butter, some mixed berries, little flax milk in there, and mixed it all up. I had 2 servings of that.
That's your cheat.
That was my cheat.
Okay.
That's just me.
Yeah.
That is just me. But there is definitely something about being that inspiration for others.
Yeah.
And I take it very seriously, and I know you do as well. Chantea, I know, does as well. So we're in good company. So everybody out there, follow.
What would you say was, I guess, the turning point for you starting to get more into the weight training?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I'm working in fashion, living in Red Bank, commuting to the city, and I found a local gym in Middletown. And I went for yoga originally. They had a yoga studio.
Still didn't want the weights.
No, I mean, I just walked by the weights, and people would say, "Why don't you try, pick up some weights?" No,
Don't want to get too big.
It's either the cardio machine or a yoga class. And then, I walked in this gym too. There was a more MMA style class going on, and there was all these women in it. They were beating up these bags, and they were older than me, but they were all like tough as hell. And I was like, I was in awe of that. And I said, I want to get into that class. And I didn't do that for like probably 3 or 4 months after joining that gym. And there was like a coupon for like a free class to try that class because it was an extra paid thing. And like I remember like approaching the instructor and being like, oh, try your class. Like, okay. And he's like, okay.
Whatever. Go.
Yeah, exactly. But that was like a big step for me. It was I didn't have the courage. It took me a lot of courage to build up to get into that class. And then once I did, it definitely opened a whole other like realm in my brain because it's so empowering when you're doing things like that, like a boxing class. We were on like hanging bags and also grappling bags that you have on the floor. And these women are all older than me, like I said, kicking ass, but they were also supportive too.
Right.
And it just kind of felt like part of a community. It just felt like it fit. And we got so much more curious about it. And then, I trusted the instructor, and he showed me a few things on the weight training machines. And then, I started doing a little bit of that, just a little bit, getting more curious about it. And that's when my body started to change a little bit. I felt stronger. I started to get a little bit more curves that I always kind of wanted and thought I could get by not eating. And then I just kind of had to learn how to eat better so I could get through these classes without gassing out or feeling like garbage. So that was just a progression step by step, but like just being curious and wanting to learn and know more and asking questions and again reading things that probably weren't the right sources, but eventually I did get my certifications. I left the fashion career at one point. It was like a break. It was supposed to be a temporary break, and because it was around a holiday season, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to work for Lululemon for a season, just enjoy some time off from this whole fashion grind.
Great discounts,
a lot of fun, clothes I love to wear. And that turned into like 18 months of working there and me telling my husband, I don't really want to go back to fashion. So that was a big growth period too. They're very much into the pushing you to expand and try things and grow. You also get a nice exposure to the fitness community in the local area because all the people are coming in and they want you to take their classes and be out in the community. So you meet so many people that way too. And I just started getting my NASM CPT during that time. So
now, what made you decide, let's get NASM certified?
Why? Because I kind of went through this physical transformation where now I wasn't like the skinny girl anymore. I wasn't like at first I was like anorexic girl in college, and then I'm just like the skinny girl when I'm in working in the field. I'm able to like be the model for the clothes that they want to just play with outfits and stuff. And then, I want to start getting into lifting. I'm not the skinny girl anymore. And there was a little bit of struggle coming to terms with that too. Being like, oh, I'm not. Yeah, exactly. I'm not the anorexic girl anymore. Wait, what does this mean?
Right. A lot of contemplation.
Yeah. But people recognized like a physical change in my body, and it was definitely a healthy, positive one. But then sometimes that word healthy is scary when you're in that mindset from ED. Where like healthy must mean I'm getting fat.
Big.
Yeah. So, but I felt strong. I started to look stronger, and it's not like I identify myself now as the strong girl, because that's what I feel like I am. I just am happy,
It's the most important part.
Yeah. So I don't know, where was I going with that? I don't remember.
No. So from there, you've now been working with other people. Have you evolved from there since in being healthy? Are you still comfortable with being healthy? And then how do you transfer that to other individuals?
Yeah. I probably weigh the most I ever have, but I'm also happiest.
You know, when a girl says that, it's usually not a good thing. But with
For
you
us, we
saying that,
understand
for us, we
it.
totally
Yeah,
get
we-
it.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
totally get it. That is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I like feeling strong. Sometimes I look at my body, I'm like, well, I'm just getting a little muscular back on my. I have a very muscular back, but I really like lifting back. I really like feeling strong. So why would I stop that too?
Right.
You know, just to look a certain way.
Now, do you feel where you're at right now is maintainable all year round?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
And I say we had a big conversation about it last night.
Yeah.
We, as Chantea competes, and we go to a couple shows here and there just to either any athlete that we coach or just to observe, certain individuals will start following on Instagram and see the post transformation. And it goes from being looking
Stage
perfect,
ready,
stage
right?
ready, but it's not obviously maintainable. There's no way you're going to maintain 3% body fat and still live to talk about it. But then they go and they go and they go to points of, all right, you're just chunky now and you probably should lose some weight. You know, have you found, it seems like you found that proper balance.
I try to stay away from extremes because having come from that ED world of extremes, and I mean, I didn't even touch on like being bulimic at that time and, you know, using laxatives and all these other like secret behaviors that go along with trying to just be as thin as you can. I went from such an unbalanced extreme state that I really don't want to go back to that world in any way. And I don't think if I were to be a competitive bodybuilder, I would. I think I'm more now an example of balance. So I don't know. It just doesn't. I admire it a lot. The people that are competitive in that field, I can watch, but I don't think I want to go into it. You know.
It was
Fair enough.
Yeah.
It was a really big deal to be able to do that, and it was something. It was after the third kid, and it's 2 years, and they haven't worked out, and it's like, you know what? I need to do something to get me back on track, and that's exactly what I needed at that time to say, all right, I can prove to myself that I have what it takes to get to stage ready, and then finding the balance afterwards.
Yeah.
So I'm okay not maintaining how I looked on stage because that's just not maintainable, you know? So I think that it's great that you have that balance, that you've been able to overcome, you know, the extremes to find this balance. Do you think that it helps you when you're working with your clients, like when they want to go, you know, from, you know, say 160 pounds to 120, like having them find that proper balance?
Yes, I think, well, I don't work with elite level athletes.
No,
I say I
mean,
work
it's
with a
just
lot
like
of
the general population. Like a lot of women get confused and they see everything.
Yeah, a lot of women focus on the number, of course, on the
That's
scale.
it.
So
The weight. Nothing else.
yeah,
The weight.
I try and educate them about body composition and what that really means, and you know, relate to them that I used to just focus on the scale, and you know, it doesn't put me in a happier place when you are smaller. It's really about the holistic. So much goes into play, but besides just the number on the scale.
It's great to hear you say that, because even trainers in the gyms, they'll be like, oh, you're not losing enough weight. Oh, you're not doing this. And they're not focusing on the whole person as the changes that are happening.
We quantify somebody gets a crap ton stronger on AREX, which you have had the pleasure of experiencing, and their gains are night and day difference, and they have only lost, say, 5 pounds, but they've also lost 7% body fat, and they've increased lean muscle by another couple percent. All they're saying is, oh, I barely lost any weight.
Yeah.
Not realizing your entire composition, you just had to buy new shirts. This is a big deal. All your disease risk ratios we've measured have gone way down, but they're still focused on the number. What would you tell somebody who is so obsessed with the number, and say with you after a month, they've lost only a pound or two, but you see all the other quantifications are different? What would you tell them?
Well, I was actually listening to I think I was listening to one of your podcasts earlier, and you had said, thoughts are not facts.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, light bulb moment, of course. Like, that's exactly would be a perfect illustration. Their thoughts about that number is not entirely fact. There's facts behind it about the body fat changing and the lean mass increase. Those are the facts on paper. We can actually show them. But what other non-quantifiable, non-scale things can we reveal or get them to discover? Maybe their energy's better. Maybe they're sleeping better. Maybe they're having enjoying better sex life. Like, there's so many other things that people don't take stock of until you kind of point it out.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Those are major changes when you start a healthier lifestyle. You do notice differences in all of those aspects. Being happy with your significant other, finding more sex drive and sleeping better. People don't understand that that's a very realistic thing to happen when you focus on being a healthier version of yourself.
We talk a lot about living functionized, and definition of that is literally when you go to bed tonight, you're a better version of yourself than when you woke up this morning. Rinse, lather, repeat. What tips might you give to the listeners literally around the world on doing just that, being better tonight than you were yesterday, and continuing that process?
I think a lot of it starts with the positive mindset, which you guys also talk about, the thought process that goes on, even from when you go to bed at night, reviewing your day, but visualizing how you want the next day to go, being grateful for the positive things that have surpassed in this day, the prior days, and also visualize the next day, setting yourself up for success with the small habits of, having your meals prepared, or at least some snacks prepared, or getting enough sleep. It's the holistic factor, looking at your life holistically in all areas, and not just trying to hit the gym the gym goal. Like, right. I got to the gym, okay, but I got 5 hours of sleep.
And then, right.
Yeah. Well, what's really going to benefit you more if we look at this in the big picture? Maybe getting those 8 hours of sleep and skipping the gym would have been a better choice to support your lifestyle in this pocket of time, because our goals change, our lifestyles change, everything's always moving.
Just doing the best you can and focusing on many different areas of your life. Yeah, some people focus on just one specific thing and they neglect everything else. And we find a lot of people focus on just work. They neglect their health, their wellness, their family. Everything else goes down the tubes. And then one day they wake up and say, uh-oh, now what do I do?
They're forced. It's like right in their face. You can't avoid everything now.
Absolutely.
I know. It's one of those things where you don't want to be too late to help yourself. I think that you have a lot to offer people with getting out of their own way and out of their own heads, and getting them on the right track. What would you say would be your ideal client that you like to work with?
I love working with newbies. I think that they are a lot. Who doesn't?
They're moldable.
Yeah, they're moldable.
They don't have to do anything and they get results.
They get. But it's also really rewarding to see them discover, like as I did for myself, being an art kid, discovering fitness and, having that change my whole path. Like, I like to kind of almost, I don't want to say that in an ego way, but almost see myself in somebody, or like the prior version of myself, and get them to wake up and change something so it doesn't come smack in their face at some point that they have to face it, or they're looking for some quick fix. It's just, it's been a transformative process for me to do it. So someone I can transform is my most ideal client.
You've come such a long way, it seems. And with that, I'm going to give you the probably toughest question that you actually have to think of, and you don't want dead air here. So with all the time that's progressed, 10 years from now, where is the evolution of Liz going to be? Where is Red Bank Red going to be, even in Red Bank, in 10 years from now? And where do you want to see yourself? both physically, mentally, professionally, etc., other than with your husband, of course?
10 years from now. Okay, so I'm in my mid-40s then.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to be, I'd like to have a established platform. I'd like to maybe be someone that travels and maybe speaks or is an inspiring figure, play roles in things maybe not even at the forefront. So maybe helping younger entrepreneurs shape their paths too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but still continuing to train people. I think that's always going to be something I want to do, is one-on-one training.
Sounds like a passion.
And when you do your passion, it makes your life that much more rewarding.
You can't go wrong. Always, always, always follow your passion. If you're doing something, I say that you're literally getting up and dreading every single day, then what are you really doing?
It's time for a change.
Life is way too short. Follow your passion. You will always be happy, and you'll be good at what you're doing, so you'll be able to live comfortably if you're following that passion.
What would be your ideal training style? Like, what type of training do you love to do?
I like to do strength, but also with conditioning. So, pairing strength exercises with something like a bear crawl or something explosive.
Mm-hmm.
That's my personal favorite. Doesn't mean it's my client's personal favorite. Some people don't have that conditioning, that cardiovascular capability yet, but I think it's the most fun. Yeah.
If you could leave the world with one piece of advice from everything you've learned so far, God forbid, unfortunately, today is your last day on Earth. The world will be a better place because you've been here. But what would you want to impart on the world and leave as your parting thoughts?
Don't waste time not believing in yourself.
It's a really important message. I think that a lot of our listeners, it'll resonate with them. We don't do things because we're afraid we're either not going to do it right or we don't know how to do it well. So believing in yourself, and I'm a big proponent of everyone is their own expert in their lives. You have the answers, it's just tapping into it.
Yeah.
So I think that that's an amazing, amazing thing for people to listen to.
Well, Liz Murphy at Red Bank Red, I thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And it's been wonderful having you, and I certainly appreciate you sharing your story. I mean, it's very motivational, inspiration.
Thank you. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to share.
Absolutely. If anybody wants to contact you, what's the best way to reach out to you?
On Instagram, I'm Red Bank Red. You can find me also on Facebook at Do Bodywork Fitness with Liz Murphy. I'm also on LinkedIn as Elizabeth Murphy.
Excellent.
And that's it.
So there you go. There's Red Bank Red.
Another Functionized podcast in the books. We appreciate with our bottom of our hearts. Thank you for being with us. 5-star reviews. We love them. Contact us, support@functionized.com. Check out social media at Functionized, and grab your friend's phone, hit the subscribe button on the podcast device that you are listening to. Beauty Brains Brawn.
I'm out.
The Mad Scientist. I am out. Red Bank Red.
Bye. Thank you.